Well, good day, everyone. Wonderful to see you again, and welcome to iTelescope. I'm here. My name is Sasse. I'm the Astronomer-in-charge together with our IT expert, Leigh Moore. Good morning, Leigh. How are you?
Yeah, very good, Christian. Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Yeah, it's really wonderful to see you. I'm just going to launch the poll where you're from, and then we'll chat a little bit because it's very early in the morning for Leigh. As we had a guest yesterday from Melbourne, if you've attended, you would have seen that. Leigh, how are you feeling at 4 a.m.?
Yeah, pretty good considering. Yes. Yeah, I woke up at 3 o'clock.
Yes,
in
at
the morning
3 o'clock.
to attend this webinar.
That's
Yeah,
about the worst possible time. I don't know. It's quite cruel. Very nice to see you also, Philida. I can see that, John, and so on. Thank you for being with us. Although most of you don't really need an introduction for new members, maybe you just like to be with us. Of course, that's wonderful because we've got something special again today. So that's good. So thanks for being with us. That's great. Spokane too, yes, Mike. That's great. Okay, so we'll give it a few more seconds and then we'll get going. Of course, says Philida. Yeah, sure, right? That's good. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to stop the poll. And you know what the most surprising part is? That nobody seems to be from, oh no, there are two from the Antarctica. I was wrong again. They have some permanent residence on the Antarctica now. So, okay, so we got North America, Europe, Central America, and then Antarctica, but nobody from, no, nobody from Australia except for, well, of course, Leigh, and from Africa. We got no one from Asia. Surprises me today. Surprises me. Okay, very nice. Great. I'm just going to launch a second poll because I would just like to know what your level of experience is with iTelescope. It just helps us, so please let us know if you've ever used it before, and then we know what to do with it. So that's quite important, actually. Okay, this is getting very interesting. Let's see how many we have so far. We've got about 34. Okay. So please be so kind, everyone, and answer this question. It's really important for us that we know that we know, where we should start and what we need to pay attention to. I'm going to give it a few more seconds. From India, we do have someone from India. Ruv, I hope I pronounce your name correctly, but there's my little doggy. Say hello. Say hello to everyone. That's Juno. Juno's a rescue dog. Oh, he's disappearing a bit but he always wants to know what's going on. Say hello, Juno. Hey. Okay, there we go. So that was Juno. Whilst we go. Yeah, Juno. It's Juno. Juno. Okay, that's what it is, Juno. Okay, so let's just share the results. And there we go. So we have, interesting, so we've got quite a few who've never used it before. And some have taken images. That's good. And we've got some experience too. So that's good. So we've got right across the field. So we will definitely address everyone here. That's great. So let's get going. So I got the recording on, so we're all fine. So Leigh, I'll just go ahead now. I'll share the screen and sure. Let me just do that and get organized very quickly. Make sure I have the right screen here. Okay, just very quickly, can you see the screen here, the iTelescope welcome page?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Then let's get going. If you've got any questions, by the way, please put them in the Q&A section. So anyway, welcome so much to iTelescope. A warm welcome to all of you. So that is the front page that you have. I just saw we have to remove the comment one. We've done that is no, well, it's no longer valid, but that we had that for quite some time. Oh, we also say something about Chile, and the Chile adventure has just finished. It's been incredible. Maybe I'll give, if there's interest, I'll give a short report, or at least I'll publish something in the newsletter, because it was absolutely overwhelmingly interesting. And by the way, I know some of you have inquired. I just quickly want to announce that we are in September going to have a masterclass in Utah. That's together with Craig Stocks from the Utah Desert Remote Observatory. And it's going to be very promising, beautiful scenery in Utah. But we will address everything there, all the way from Astro Pixel Processor to PixInsight. We'll cover everything for the first time for those of you who have, because I know that there are some of you who are more interested maybe in PixInsight or so. We will accommodate everyone there. So it's going to be very promising together. Craig and I will run the workshop over 5 days in St. George, Utah, and you'll also be able to see the new iTelescope observatory and do incredible light painting. We're going to do lots of beautiful images from the northern and southern hemisphere with big telescopes, and you'll come and leave as an expert, and you'll love astrophotography. Okay, so that's just a very quick announcement to that. So anyway, when you come in here, you can press the join now, and that'll lead you to the registration. So I'm just going to press here on login, and when you do that, you come to what we call the Launchpad, right? And that's the Launchpad page. And just very quickly, here is a map of the sky. You can see here in Australia where we are. It's still dark. All those red dots are the observatories, right? Ranging all the way from California, Sierra, the Sierra Observatory in California, the one in Utah that I've just mentioned, Chile, I've just mentioned where we were. Then in Spain, we've got 2, and then we've got the Australian one, right? But I'm not going to bore, especially the new ones, who you say, well, that's very nice, Christian, but what on earth can we do? Now, it's very interesting. You can see that the moon is very high at the moment. It's 99%. We've almost had full moon. And most people know is if you image at full moon, it's almost like looking directly into the sun. It's like at midday where you have no shadows or anything, and it's just really difficult. So the question is, what can you do? And the good news is that we have this full moon happy hour, and you can actually image during full moon. As long as you're a member, you can do that. Is it right, for 1 hour per day per telescope? Is that right, Leigh?
Yes. Yeah, technically it's 18 hours. So we did an 18-hour wait between imaging sessions.
Right.
So if wherever you are in the world, if it's later in the night for you, the next day you can then take another imaging session earlier in the night. So
exactly.
Yes.
So that's quite amazing. So let's assume that you know really nothing and you clicked on a telescope, which I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to click here on T30 for you, and you can see what type of telescope it is, and then you have on the left hand side you've got a menu, and you can click it. And usually the way to start would be to click on click images, and you can see all the objects that you could see at the moment. There's only one small flaw here. At full moon, you shouldn't be taking red, green, and blue. And the reason is quite simple. The light from the moon, or the reflection from the moon, is so intense that you are going to get gradients and so on. You have to have such an incredibly large distance, or what we call angular distance, to the moon, that it's almost impossible to get this right. Instead, you can do a small trick, and I'm just going to see if I can find my PowerPoint presentation, and then we'll jump right into it, because I actually prepared an image just a few hours ago. So these are the normal filters, red, green, and blue, from which you make color images, right? But there are also filters that we call these emission lines, and these emission lines are very prominent in nebula that have strong emissions, right? And typically you have a hydrogen line, it's very dark red. You have a sulfur line, that's ionized sulfur, and then you have a doubly ionized oxygen line that lies somewhere between blue and green. And you can use these filters, because these filters are looking very specifically at certain lines, and thereby these lines are much more powerful than the backscatter light that you're getting from the telescopes, unless you're looking directly into the moon, which of course you should try and avoid unless you want to take an image of the moon. So how do we do this? Yeah, now we've got this, and we take these narrowband filters, and we're going to see what we can do. So the first thing is you have to choose an appropriate object, and At the moment, I just said it's still dark in Australia, but it's not dark enough to take something early in the morning. So we're just in a time zone that's a bit awkward because 6 p.m. UTC is just not enough to get a darkness in North America, as you know, even on the East Coast and so on. Europe is just going into darkness there, and Spain too. It's just an awkward in between, unfortunately. So I can't show you this live, but 2 hours ago, I did do something in Australia with T30 that I just wanted to show you. So here's the telescope. When you click here on system status, you can see what the last person has done. And if you click here on preview last image, you can indeed see, oh, there's no preview image in this case. And I had taken one, but unfortunately, someone else then took an image. So you can't see that beautiful image, but I'm here on a Mac. Let me just get my menu up. I hope you can see this right now. So I'll just show you the image I took with T30 just very recently. So you can see that's a 15-minute, that was a 15-minute exposure with the H alpha of the so-called running chicken nebula. How did I know even how to take that object? I went to the one-click images. I just chose the right one. And then I said, this time I'm not going to take RGB. I'm going to take H alpha and O3. And that's what I did. I'm going to show you all that, how I did that right now. Okay, so let's jump right back to, one second, let's jump right back here to T30. Okay, so what I did was the following. I went into Deep Sky Objects, and there you can still see the footprint of what I did. I looked up the object name of the running chicken, and in this case, it was called IC2944, right? That's the running chicken nebula. So I just typed it in. I said, look up the coordinates. That's what it did. So I'm just going to do that again. And this is what it did. It said, hey, that's the running chicken nebula. You can start imaging, and you have to stop at 2:20 a.m. local time. This is always local time, and that's also why I cannot image it live at the moment, because as you know, it's 4 a.m. or just past 4 a.m. in Siding Spring or in Australia at the moment, at least the major cities. And that's why we can't take that at the moment. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold still from Chile, so excuse me if I'm coughing a bit. So that it filled out automatically. And now what I did is I went into the filters. Instead of using red, green, and blue, I just did oxygen 3 and hydrogen, right? And I put in 900 seconds. And then all I did was acquire images now, because that's what you can do during full moon happy hour. As long as you have a plan, it costs you nothing. And it's wonderful because you can accumulate images that way. So let's assume that's exactly what happened. I showed you the preview image of the hydrogen alpha. Now, let's say I did that. I just did 15 minutes of hydrogen, and we did 15 minutes of oxygen. And then we got our images. Okay, so that's all I did, just like that. And then I went to, where was it now? My images. Yes, you see where it says my images. I clicked on it, and that brings you with your username to your own page where all your images are stored. Well, I've got lots of them. So if you start off, it won't look like that. You might not see anything at all. But as soon as you take an image, the catalog will start showing, or I think after a while, all of them will show. In this case, it was T30. So let's click on it. There's T30. And let's just see how I can download the images. And now, of course, it's going very slow when I did this an hour ago.
Yeah, I think your session has timed out if you want to refresh
the thank
page.
You very much. Thank you. That's what it is. Okay, let's try again. Okay, is my session timed? You think it has? Okay, so what should I do? Just press this?
Yep. Refresh it. Maybe just log out and log back in.
Oh, okay. Let's try
that.
Let's try that.
Sorry, folks, it's just experiencing some technical difficulties.
No, but this is normal. I mean, this is good that it's happening to me now. Wait a second. I just have to hide this panel here from, just give me a second. I have to hide the panel here from, where is it? hide floating meeting controls. Otherwise, I cannot see that. Yep, you don't see that. Okay, so okay, well, maybe I will just open a new one. Okay, let's do it like that. Data, right? The data.iTelescope.net. Let's try this again.
Yep. Try just going out to the log out button in the top right. Yep, log out and just log back in. That will refresh.
Okay. Oh, I see. Thank you. Isn't it good to have Leigh here? Okay, good.
Yeah.
There you go. Now you know what to do when things don't work. Right. So now let's click on T30. And he was absolutely right. Here it is. And this is IC2944. I'm just going to click on it and download everything. Okay. So just click on the download button. Let's do that. Hope it works this time. Should work.
Yeah, it could take a couple of minutes to work, depending on how much data that you have.
It's not that much. Here we go. It's coming. 11 seconds. It's gone. I've got very fast internet too. So this should work, right? So I'm on a Mac, by the way. Often I'm on Windows, but this time I'm actually on a Mac. And I will click on this now. And yeah, there it is. There's the folder. Okay, so that's the nice thing. It opened this straight away. So let's click on it. There it is. There's today's date. You see that? No cheating here. It really is. And then you can see the files there. You can see the calibrated ones. You can see I did the, wait a minute, let me just see that. I've got the oxygen and the hydrogen. And let's make a quick picture out of it, right? Let's see what it's all about. That's the exciting thing. So I'm going to open a program called Astro Pixel Processor. I won't explain too much here, but let's just get this going, okay? So wait a second until it registers. So I've got this in my downloads already. I'm going to say that's my folder, and I'm just going to load these two. And let's see if we, from two 15-minute pictures, actually can do something here. And the advantage really of using this is it's incredibly fast and easy to use. Okay, so that's the wonderful thing. So there you go. And let's just go to integrate, and let's just get this going as fast as possible. So I'm going to call this running chicken. And we will call it T30, and that's all it is. So it's just two images. So don't expect something incredible because it's 2 times 15 minutes that we're taking. But let's see what we can get out of this. So it goes incredibly fast here. It's going to put everything together. And the integration, and you can see it's really straightforward and it's there. So of course there's no integration at the moment because it is a single image. All we did was really align them. So let's make a quick picture out of this. So I just go to combine RGB. So in this case, I'm just taking narrowband. So in the menu here, just go down, for example, and take the HOO, right? That's the one we should do. And I'm just going to say add channel here. And here they are. You see here the two images that we just got. I'm going to say open there. And there's the hydrogen and the oxygen, right? And then I'm just going to put the saturation on here and say calculate. And let's see what we get. And this is actually quite remarkable what we get here. Let me just get myself out of the way. So even with very little, I'm going to try and brighten this up a little bit more. You know, just a few seconds, that was a bit too large. Let me just zoom out. You already get a good impression. Oops, that's zoomed in a little bit too much. Sorry about that. But you can see that the hydrogen region, and you get some oxygen, although a little bit weak because we've taken very little. You get some, it's zooming in a little bit too much here. Let me just try and control this a bit more because I wanted to show you something really significant about the, it's just not, the zoom is not, it's not working. There we go. I want to show you something really remarkable about the running chicken nebula. So the running chicken nebula is about 6,000 light years away. So it's very close, actually. It's one of the most beautiful nebula in the southern hemisphere, and if you look carefully you can see these very dark spots there. You call these Bock globules. Very strange word, Bock. Bart Bock for quite some time was the director of Siding Spring Observatories. He was one of the big people there who built up Siding Spring to become really a major observatory in on the globe. And the Bock Nebula, these Bock globules, they were named after him. And they are sort of star formation. They're very dark spots, you know, in these emission nebula. So this is in these hydrogen emission nebula, where you can see, and they almost look three-dimensional. If we went a lot deeper, you would see how beautiful these Bock nebula come out. The distance across the whole running chicken nebula is about 100 light years. So typically these are maybe smaller than a light year, but they are star-forming regions, as we now know. So inside these, they've actually looked inside these Bock globules, and they found with special infrared telescopes, with cameras, they have seen that they are actually, in some of these, they are star formation regions, but they are all still a big mystery, these Bock globules. You know, even to modern astronomy, there's a lot of exploring that one still has to know. But what is remarkable, that we've just in a very short time taken an image, put it together, just quickly taken some standard software like Astro Pixel Processor, and in no time we get an image that actually looks like something. And the best is, this wouldn't cost you anything, just a simple membership. And that's the great thing. You could take many more stacked images and you could get a lot more depth in this image, right? So that's just a quick demonstration of what you can do if you have live control over a telescope. Right, so I'm going to leave Astro Pixel Processor at the moment and leave you with this beautiful H-alpha image, you know, even at full moon, right? So let's jump back again, if I can find my page, and let's go back. So now that you know, it's not really difficult to take an image or even put one together. Let's go and explore a little bit more and look at this page here. So this here is the local time that we have in Siding Spring. You can see the date. Here is when the observatory opens and when it closes, right? So usually that would be just before sunset. No, got to get this right. Wait a minute. Just, yeah, that's right. Before sunset and just after sunrise. Yeah, or just that's usually how it would be. Okay, so you can see 99%. You can see here also the elevation of the moon. The moon is still at plus 42 degrees, so it's really shining very brightly. Of course, at full moon, it is to be expected like that, right? But of course, you can see a small arrow pointing downwards, so it's definitely going down in the west now. And the sun, yes, the sun is still at minus 30 degrees, but it's coming up, right? It's getting early morning in Siding Spring. Then you can see what telescopes are available, and you can see how much are available, which is a bit of surprise. And I hope when I showed you this, that it'll give you a little of, hey, you know, I can go and I can take some images here and I can stack them. I can take beautiful images and it doesn't really cost me anything, you know. So I hope you get that inspiration to explore, you know, especially narrowband a little bit more when telescopes are free. And then you can see there are other observatories that we've seen on the map. You can see Spain, two in Spain, and Deep Sky Chile. That's where I was. Of course, it's closed at the moment, but we're putting more telescopes. Leigh was just telling me that he's getting T75 ready. Isn't that so, Leigh? Right?
Yeah, we've got a new telescope coming online very soon.
Yes, and then of course we could ask the question, why can't we count? What about T73 and T74? They're also in the pipeline, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Correct. Deductive reasoning.
Yeah, that's right. So they are definitely there. There are more coming up. And then, of course, Utah I talked about. You know, we moved from New Mexico skies to Utah, and of course, there's also full moon there. But just remember what I said. Try and explore a bit with narrowband, especially around this time. It's going to be very enjoyable. Right. So we've jumped quite a lot. So when you completely new and you really don't know what to do, just press start planning here if you don't know what telescope to use. And you can see here are all our observatories displayed, right? So we had Siding Spring there, and I'm going to go the step backwards now. How did I get to the Running Chicken Nebula actually, right? So let's stay at Siding Spring for a moment. I'm just going to say search, and you can see all these beautiful targets are coming up that you can actually take. Now, some of you will know that on the Northern Hemisphere at the moment, it's galaxy season. That's a strange word, isn't galaxy season? And that's really because on the Northern Hemisphere, you can't really see any nebula, and that's because the Milky Way cannot really be seen. That's coming a little bit later, and that's why it's called galaxy season. It's very different in the Southern Hemisphere because you've got two major galaxies there, the Large Magellanic Cloud and the Small Magellanic Cloud. And yes, you can actually see, and what is also beautifully in Chile right now, you can see the rising Milky Way there. And that's why you can see so many nebula there too. You know, for example, the Gabriela Mistral is part of the Eta Carina Nebula and so on, became very famous again through the through the James Webb Telescope, right, and so on. And there is the Running Chicken Nebula. You see that? That's where it is. And let's work with the Running Chicken Nebula right now, because that's you see, that's where I got the name IC2944 from, if you don't know the designation, right? And here you get the coordinates. For those of you who know a little bit about that, the right ascension is like your longitude, and the declination is your latitude. And it's interesting, it's got -63, tells you it's very much south, cannot really be seen from the Northern Hemisphere, right? And that's why it's not galaxy season in the Southern Hemisphere. We can really look at beautiful nebula, and that's good. If you get sick and tired of galaxies, jump to the Southern Hemisphere, right? Here you can see the angle to the moon was 61 degrees right now when we took that image, right? That's very close, actually. It's very close. What's interesting here, you can see an arrow up, and it says, when is the object rising? Like when is the sun rising? It's coming in the early afternoon. And then, of course, here, that's the transit, that's the highest point, and then it goes down at 2:25. That's why I couldn't show it to you. But so it's getting a little bit late for this now. It's going to move more and more away. So we are sort of at the tail end of the Running Chicken Nebula, right? So now we want to know a little bit more. So we've decided we want the Running Chicken Nebula, which we have to take in the first, let's say, 3/4 of the night. So we press on telescopes. It's a really fantastic interface, and you can see a little bit more. What's very nice is you've got all these displays here. You can see people have taken beautiful images of it in narrowband and other things. And you can see here is a very nice display. That here is day, and this is the nighttime, and you can see you can follow this curve, how the object is rising up to a maximum about 60, just below 60 degrees. And then here is a 30-degree line. You see, I put a 30-degree line in my case. So that's where you should stop observing. That's where we come to 2:21 a.m., right? That's where we come from. So nothing new there really that we've learned. I was just doing a mosaic here. So let me just reset this 1 second. So I'll just reset this so it looks, and you can see here, down here, you see a virtual field of view. And it's already here on iTelescope, right? You see here it's on iTelescope. And I just have to make sure it's on siding spring. Yes, it is on siding spring. So if the observatory doesn't show properly, sometimes it happens, just go to iTelescope observatories and choose the correct observatory here. Make sure sometimes it jumps back in Chrome. So you have to go into the incognito mode in order to do that. It sometimes happens. So here's your virtual field of view of different telescopes. So if you click on here, you can see there's a big choice here of telescopes with different country flags and so on that you can choose. And of course, we'll choose the Australian in this case. And let's just start in the beginning. Let's say T59, we clicked on it, and you can see, oh my goodness, T59 obviously is more for deep sky. We get a very small part of the Running Chicken Nebula. So if you really want something much wider, you would go to a telescope like, and I just know this already, you would go to a telescope like where is it? T8. I just missed it. T9, there it is, T8, there we go. And that will give you the complete Running Chicken Nebula if you're interested. But if you're interested in a real detail like we've just seen, then you go to T30, that was the one we've just used. You can see here the field of view, FOV, is 0.7 degrees. It's a little bit more than a full moon, right? And that gives us, of course, the inner part. And that there you can see exactly the part that, that we took. That's the virtual field of view. And it's always the same because the telescopes are mounted on what we call German equatorial mounts, and that means they always follow the sky exactly. It's like you freeze one position in the sky, and you're always following that, right? So that's the window you'll get all night, right? And that's why we can do long exposures, because we don't want the sky to move relative to the camera, right? And that's the field of view we got. So now that you know, and once you decided what you want to do, in this case, with the running chicken nebula, it doesn't matter whether you take a smaller field of view or a large one. You can see all these Bock globules there too. It's just such a magnificent target that it doesn't really matter. And you could see that even in the short exposure that we took of 15 minutes of the hydrogen alpha, right? So once you've decided all that, now you know which telescope you want to use. With that information, you can actually go back here now, and you can just go back here 1 second, go here, back to the telescopes, and you can decide, well, let's say we would have used T8, okay, just as a different example. Let's say you decide you want to take the whole running chicken nebula. You just click on T8. Let's do that for a moment. And you jump in and you can see that's a smaller telescope. It's a refractor, it's a wide field telescope, right? You can look at the system status, see what someone has done. Let's just do that for a second and look at this. And guess what? That is the running chicken nebula. I've played around also with T8 before. We had a bit of clouds there, but yes, that is part of the running chicken nebula. I think that is the oxygen of the running chicken nebula. That's what you're seeing there, right? Good. And then you can go either to the one-click image, as I said before, that's during full moon, but remember, full moon, don't take if you take the targets are too close to the moon, it's just not going to look good. But you can just find objects this way too. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to deep sky objects. You see, and I already put the name in here, IC2944 as a plan name. I prepared all this. Or you can also, I think you can even write here running chicken. Let's just try that. Let's try. Let's see if that recognizes it. Running chicken. I'm going to try that one. Yes, and it does. You see, so it recognized the popular name here. Now, if you ask me where Christian is the running chicken, you really have to strain your eyes and imagination. I don't see a running chicken. I mean, I think a year ago, I did once see a running chicken, but you really have to use a lot of your imagination to see. But whatever, maybe you have more imagination than I do, so you might just be much better at this. So try and see your running chicken there. And then you just fill in whatever you want here. So in this case, I took 2 times oxygen, right? And you can just fill in this case, it was 600 seconds. If you put too many seconds in, like 900, it will, and you say create, acquire images now. It says running chicken cannot be observed right now. You see, you cannot do that right now, but you can prepare a plan for later. If you put a too high a number in here, it will warn you and tell you up to how many seconds you can take. So I'm just going to take 2 hydrogen and 2 oxygens in this case, right? And then you can say, create a plan for later. And now you have a plan for later, right? So you can do that. And if you wanted to run a reservation, you can do that too. You say, make a reservation, because now we can tell the telescope to do that actually, right? So let's have a look. And everything is nice and free here. So it is already Sunday in Siding Spring, right? It's already Sunday. I have to think carefully. Sunday in Siding Spring. So yes, this is the Sunday morning. That's right, Sunday morning. So you can. So what you see here is always the local time. Always remember, you're thinking only in local time here. So that's why it says the local time there is 4:34 a.m. at the moment, right? So let's say we want to do that for Sunday evening. So what you see in the calendar when it says Sunday, it means really the whole night from Sunday to Monday. So we don't really have a midnight line here, right? So we astronomers call Sunday the whole of Sunday. So I'm just going to populate, I'm just going to drag my mouse here. I'm just going to populate a window here. And you can see here, I can indeed start anywhere in the evening. So let's just make it simple, start at 10:30. I'm only taking 2 images. Maybe it was about half an hour or so. So I'm just going to say till 11 p.m. at the, it's just, I don't know, let's say 11:45 p.m. And now it gives you a warning. It says, be careful, whatever your imaging time is, take a factor of 1.5. Now I have to think back again. I think we took, what was it, 900 seconds? So that's, yeah, I think.
No, 600 seconds. I think there's 4 exposures.
Thank you very much. So that's
so about 40 minutes.
40 minutes. So we need 40 minutes. So we add a little bit of time of 20 minutes, half of that. So let's make it 60 minutes in total. That's what it's telling me. Okay. So let's do 6:30. So 10:30. Let's make it till 11:30. Wait a minute. Let's do it then from 10:45 because I'm going to see from 10:45 to 11:45. Right. So now we have to select the plan. Excuse me. So now we take the plan here of IC2944, and that's all you do. And you can reschedule this also for another night if you want to. And you say confirm reservation. And then here your reservation appears in golden color as opposed to others in green. And you can even move this around if you want to. You can move it to another day. And that's it. And you can reserve 3 months ahead. So let's say everything is fully booked for whatever reason. It could be new moon. You don't forget, you can go all the way up till maybe, July, end of July. See, if I click here on the end of July, you can see how much moon we have there, the illumination, and so on. Or you can choose an earlier day that's much better. And let's say it's more a new moon. You could choose a date and time there. Just remember that when you choose a date and time, the rise and the rise and set time for the target will be very different. So go back and check in Telescopius where you can put in a specific date to make sure that you can actually see that target during the time of your reservation. And so you can reserve well ahead of time. And then I've already shown you the rest. So once you take the images, you can go to My Images, as I already showed you, and that brings us into the full circle. And then you can download them. And then you can use whatever software you like in order to do your images. I've chosen Astro Pixel Processor because it's very simple to use and it's a very robust software. But whatever software you like, just use that one. Fine. And I think, Leigh, I've covered everything. Maybe just a quick note on, let's go to the beginning again where iTelescope. No, I've lost it. Let's just open this again, just show you let me just show you a few other things. Let me just go back to iTelescope and just show you a few other things. So that was the main page. You can see all the telescopes here, the planning tool we've just shown, the pricing. You can go here and explore all the pricing, plan 40 upwards that we have. We also have exclusive offers, the full moon happy hour I just told you about. That lasts about 10 days, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, about 10 days, yes.
That's about 10 days. What's very nice, you've got these, you see that image behind me? That's the Vela supernova remnant. It's absolutely magnificent. So you can actually download these plans every 2 weeks. You get these free images taken by our top telescopes, and you can compile your own images. And I also now and then give free webinars on that and show you an easy way to get to the target. But this is huge. So this is going to go on. This Vela Super Remnant is a 2x2 mosaic. It's one of the most beautiful targets you can imagine. This is oxygen lines and hydrogen, and that gives these incredible patterns of a supernova. In fact, we had a wonderful webinar, by the way, yesterday on supernova remnants, and we should have shown this image too. I forgot about that. But typically you have the Crab Nebula and so on. But that's really one of the nicest targets that you can have anywhere in the night sky, right? So it's a good time to join iTelescope if you feel like it. What else do we have? Yes, then of course I talked about the so we also give private lessons for if you want private master classes, we give them. Then we have the webinars, of course, and you can see all the webinars. That's the one we had yesterday, the ones that are coming up on exoplanets and so on, neutrino search and so on. And we're going to add quite a few in the next coming weeks. So all that hopefully gives you sufficient value. Also, you can see the last replay that we had. So on that note, I'm just going to stop.
Christian, let's quickly talk about the free telescopes.
Okay, do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, so we've talked about full moon happy hour quite a lot during this webinar. So about 10 days per 28-day period, all the telescopes become free for live on-demand use. If you want to do a reservation during that time, it's the regular plan rates, but they've been discounted. So, however, we do have 2 telescopes on our network, which Christian's got on this page right here that you can see. We have T68 and T33. So these 2 telescopes, they're premium telescopes, they're really good quality equipment. They are free for all subscribed members on a plan all the time. All the time. So if you don't have a plan, if you just want to try the iTelescope system, you've just a beginner just registered, we'll let you use these telescopes 3 times each. So you can actually do a total of 6 imaging sessions for up to about 30 minutes per imaging session for free. Yeah. Oh,
and I can tell you that is actually quite generous. I'm not saying that because I'm part of iTelescope, but it really is, because these telescopes are high quality, and you can really explore imaging quite well that way. So it gives you lots of time to see what we're about. Very good. Thank you for that, Leigh. That's good. Anything else, Leigh, that I may have missed that you can...
No, that's everything I can think of. The only other thing I can think of is this: if for whatever reason you had an unsatisfactory experience while using our telescope, maybe you accidentally took a photograph of the observatory wall, or some clouds rolled in and you're not completely happy, just reach out to us at support@itelescope.net. We'll set everything right.
Excellent. So I will just stop the share here and also the recording, and then we'll jump on to your questions. So give me a second here. See if I can just